Andy, are you?
Yeah, recording now.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me. And we are going to be doing Cooking with Kim again, and we're going to be making a Christmas cake. And first of all, you need to have your 9-inch tin, and that's mine. That's lovely, beautiful, Kerry. Yours is much, much better than mine. And we put the grease-proof paper in, and we've greased it all around. I also, for later on, got this, which is quite well used, but I put it right around the outside of the cake as well, just to give it a bit of extra protection when it cooks. So that's just something I use when it's a fruit cake. Now we've got the tin, so I'm going to put that aside. And we've got our fruit ready, which has been sitting in brandy. This is the fruit, the cherries, the orange zest, and lovely. Look at that, brilliant. That's it, looks the same as mine, doesn't it? And I'm going to put that aside for a moment. And I'm going to be mixing it in a mixer. You could do it by hand, but I'm going to use, the recipe actually says, use a hand mixer or a Kenwood Chef type mixer. So I'm going to do it in that, but on a very low speed. So the first thing we need to do is measure the butter, and it's 9 ounces of butter. So that is what we're going to do first. So I've got my butter, I'm going to put it in the scales. And I need a little bit more because that's 8 ounces. If you're working in grams, I actually haven't written the grams down because I always do it in ounces. So I hope if you're working in grams, you've got the recipe that I put online.
I think it was 250, Kim.
Thank you. Thank you. I had it all written down on the paper, but I gave it to William so that he would be able to join in. I gave it to his carer. So they've got the recipe anyway. So number one, butter, 9 ounces. And I'm putting that in the bowl. This is a standard Kenwood Chef bowl. Then the next thing we need is the sugar. Now, although it said muscovado sugar, I think people know to use what sugar they like. So I'm actually using a dark brown soft sugar. They didn't have any muscovado in Aldi. So I need 9 ounces again.
Kim, does the butter need to be chopped up? Kim?
Yes, yes, that's a good idea. Chop your butter up for the bowl. I was just going to look at it and realise as I was doing this that I need to chop it up. Right, this is very moist sugar, so it took a little bit of time to get it out of the packet. So yes, I'm chopping my butter. So So once you've done your sugar and your butter, so it's all chopped up like that, I'm going to put my sugar in with the butter. Now, eggs. We have 4 large eggs. So I have my eggs ready. If I'm going too fast, just tell me to hang on a minute. And I'm just cooking them straight in to the mixture because that's what Mary Berry says to do. Be very careful not to get any shell. That looks pretty good. Right, eggs, treacle and almonds. Tell us the truth, we'll do the almonds next because the treacle's a little bit messy.
Kim, I'm still doing the egg section first, Kim.
Yeah, that's fine. That is fine. Oh, look, William's joined us now.
Hiya!
Hello, William.
I tried to get to you this morning.
Oh, we're doing the cooking now.
Wait, Kim, I need to go downstairs. I tried to get on earlier.
Couldn't you get on?
No.
Okay. Well, we've already been going for 15 minutes, so
Steve didn't let me on.
I think what it was, did it swap over to Andy's?
No. I haven't got Andy's, I only got Steve's.
That's what I mean. If it swapped to Andy's, then you wouldn't have been able to get on Andy's. Right, if you're going to cook, Will, you need to go to the kitchen now because we've already started.
Sorry, Kim.
But if you would like, it might be better for you to watch the rest of it and then you can cook it yourself in the film.
What do you mean, Kim?
Well, this is being recorded. Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to find the recording of this and just slowly cook along with me telling you what to do in your own time. And just watch the rest of what we're doing so you're not in a panic.
Through.
You can cook it tomorrow, maybe. Yeah?
Hi, Lisa. Oh, they're already started. I need to start.
Kim, have you done the treacle yet? Because I've done the eggs now.
Jump ahead to the nuts because it's messy. So we need.
Thank you for the recipe, by the way, Kim.
Yeah, there's a blanch.
Kim, thank you for the recipe.
Yeah, that's what I told them, but they were checking with them. So I just said to them, there's a meal color.
So I've chopped mine up into a bowl, 3 ounces of the almonds. You can buy them sliced. Oh, you've got yours ready as well. Can you lift it up a little bit? Just up a little bit, Kerry. That's beautiful. Yeah. So pour that in. I like nuts, so I've left the nuts very quite big lumps of the nut. If you notice, there isn't any peel in this recipe.
Have you done treacle yet, Kim?
We're going to do the treacle straight after the nuts.
Okay.
I'm adding a few extra nuts because I like nuts. Now we're going to do the treacle. So it is where's the treacle? I can't see for looking. 1 tablespoon of black treacle, which is going to be 2 dessert spoons. What I'm going to do is dip it in the treacle and then I'm going to scrape it off with the teaspoon. So it's going to be 2 dessert spoons, unless you've got a tablespoon. So here goes. I'm going to dribble it in, and then I'm going to scrape it off with the teaspoon. Like that. And then I'm going for one more. So another one, which gives me my tablespoon. It's quite sticky old stuff to work with, isn't it? So before I do anything, I'm going to get rid of those spoons because they're going to make everything sticky. Now I'm just going to put that aside for a moment because we're going to be mixing it. But what I'm going to do is weigh the flour. So we've got the flour ready for when we need it. So are you ready to do the flour? Yeah. So it's 10 ounces of plain flour. Oh, I've frozen. Let me just try and unfreeze myself. I've frozen with the treacle spoon up in the air. Right, I'm now going to measure the flour, but I'm going to put it aside because we're going to be mixing what we've got in our bowl. This is just so we don't have to stop and start. So 10 ounces of flour. And we're going to put our mixed spice on top of the flour. So it's 1.5 teaspoons of mixed spice. So I'm going to do it over the bowl. Actually, it's going to be easier if I take the top off. So 1.5 teaspoons, there's 1.5. See, once you've got all your ingredients weighed out, it actually doesn't take very long to put it all together and actually have the cake. So are you going to be cooking yours straight away, Kerry, or later after dinner?
You're going to just straight away, aren't you? And then that's going to help you keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you need to put your oven on 140 degrees Celsius or 120 fan or gas mark 1.
Gas mark 1.
So 140, 120 or gas mark 1. I'm going to have to cook mine later because I've only got one oven in use at the moment. So, and I'm going to need to cook a fish pie at some point in the middle. So I suddenly clicked, we don't want a half-finished Christmas cake. And then we've got to take it out to cook a dinner and then put it back again. So that's my flour mixture ready for use. Now we're going to go back to this one, and this one we're going to be mixing up in the mixer. Just gently give it a mix up. So I'm going over here. It'll be a little bit noisy for a minute because I'm turning to where my Kenwood chef is over here. There is my Peter. Put the plug in, turn it on. Right. It's at the moment quite a wet, it's quite a wet mixture. So we're now going to be adding the flour once you've got it to that sort of consistency. Right, when I'm adding flour, can you see me? When I'm adding flour, I very carefully, and I mean very carefully, use a tea towel. This is the same if I were to be using icing sugar, something like that, because when you put it in, it sometimes goes and you end up with it spraying everywhere. So if you was to be using a Kenwood Chef, you can just drape the tea towel very carefully so it's nowhere near the blade, and it just stops some of it flying everywhere. But I can see that you're using a hand mix, so that's fine. So is it mixing up okay, Kerry?
A bit lumpy, a bit, Kim.
Yeah, keep going with it. Keep going with it.
The butter was a bit hard, wasn't it? I think. We'll have a go anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll all melt. Also, the nuts, you'll see the nuts in it. So what might look like butter is also going to be lumps of nuts.
Yeah.
There's no hurry because it's only us. So once you've got it as smooth as you can get it, remembering the nuts are going to stay whole, then you start adding the flour little bit by little bit. once you put your flour in, just give it a good scrape down because some of it sticks around the side. Scrape it off your mixer a bit and then just give it another little spin. Oh, it's smelling nice already. Can you smell yours, Kerry? Let me know when you're at the stage that your flour's in and everything's mixed.
With our Kim.
Well done. Now, basically, I don't get my hands mixed up because you can stir this up and just literally, we've already stirred it, so I'd stir it again. I'm going to do it with my hands because I find that easier than doing it with a little spoon. So my hands are clean, I've just washed them. So I'm going to give this another stir. And then basically, I'm going to be putting the fruit into the mixture. When I used to make 3-tier wedding cakes, I don't know how I used to get them all in one bowl. I really don't. It must have been going everywhere. But that feels lovely and wet. Now, while I've still got a bit of room there, if you see, Kerry, I'm just going to put my hands in here now. Now, you might not want to do this. And I'm going to give it a good mix before I put the rest in, because we want the mixture to be really nice and mixed up properly. So the fruit is distributed right through the cake. We don't want any kind of cherries dropping to the bottom or spongy bits where we don't want spongy bits. We want it really lovely. And I honestly don't think you can do this properly unless you do it with your hands. So far, if you look, Kerry, it looks like that, and I have a very messy hand. So what I've got in here, get it right from the bottom, because it tends to stay at the bottom and you end up with just a wet bit with no fruit in it. So a lovely mix, and then I'm going to put, I think I can probably get the rest of it in now. There we are. Looks like, what I do is I kind of twiddle my fingers in it like that, and I turn it a little bit just so it sticks to the wetness. And then once, I'm not going to flick fruit everywhere, and then I start turning it over like that, turning it over, lifting from the bottom, turning it over. Until I'm happy that the fruit mixture is completely mixed up with the rest of it. I'll give you a minute to catch up. I'm going to wash my hands. Right, I'm at that stage. Are you at that stage? Okay, don't worry.
No, Kim,
No,
no.
we're just getting a mess, aren't we, Kes?
Well, you're doing double. I mean, this is one. You might need, if you're working with double amounts, to use 2 bowls.
Yeah, we've got 2 bowls, Kim.
Yeah, okay.
We're working on the 2 bowls, aren't we, Kes?
Yeah.
That's it, the 2 bowl technique.
We're just making a mess, Kim.
It's
fine.
Well, you're having fun, that's the main. And think of that lovely cake at Christmas. You're my prize pupil, you are, Kerry. I think you've learnt the most. I must admit, Carl West would have been here, but something's happened and he just can't be here. So, but he will be joining us with the rest of it. So once I've cooked his cake for him tomorrow, but I'm going to get somebody that's coming to me for respite to help me make the cake so I can turn it into like an activity. So, and then he can collect it and then he can work on it from there on. Well, it's such a lovely day. I reckon everyone's gone out sunbathing or down the beach or something. That's what we say where I come from. They're all down the beach. Anyway, you can see that once you've actually mixed it all, whoops, don't drop it. Once you've mixed it all, we've basically only got to get it from there to there, our tin, and make a nice flat top. That's it, Kerry. Lovely, lovely mucky fingers. So I'm going to use my hands again, basically, and I'm going to just take a nice big handful and dollop it in the tin, and I'm going to do that, and this amount should fit this tin. That's what the recipe says. And it's mixed up lovely, because once you flatten it down, you knead it in. Just knead it nicely in.
Kim, do we have to use our hands or can we use a spoon?
Whatever you are most comfortable with. I've used my hand and that's what I've done. Okay. Then when I've finished, I would just squeeze what's left on it and just gently rub it in, finished. But whatever you're most comfortable with.
Okay.
I'm used to doing it like this. So, but some people might not like the feel of it. Try and make it as flat as you can, because this isn't going to rise, not like a sponge, so we want a nice flat top. There we are. I think I'm happy with that. And I've done it all with my hands, and really, there's not really there. So it wasn't too bad. And when I turn it around, I kind of turn it around like that, using my wrist. So I can just nudge it around to get a nice flat top. Beautiful. I'm not coping with all of this yet. Right, mine is ready basically to go in the oven. But I'm not putting mine in the oven yet because we need to cook first. So what I'm going to do is just cover it with a clean tea towel just to keep it clean. And a little tip, you're going to be putting it in for 4 to 4.5 hours. But if you check it at 2 hours and just see how the colour and everything's coming along, if you feel it's brown enough already, you can put some foil just over the top of it, okay, and be careful because obviously the tin's hot, and that will stop it getting any more brown. And then pop it back in the oven for the rest of the time. Check it again about 4 hours. I tend to use a skewer because it's very thin and pointed. You can use a knife. Just put it in the middle, and if it comes out clean, when you sort of do your fingers along and it comes out nice and clean, it means, oh, beautiful. Well done. Lovely. You've done ever so well. Yeah, well done. They look lovely. So I can leave the rest of it really. Once it's cooked, you need to leave it overnight and get cold in the tin. Okay, don't get out the tin until the morning. At that point, you can, if you want, I don't know if you want alcohol in it, but you can put a few holes in it. And then with a teaspoon, just pour a little bit of brandy or sherry or rum into the holes. But then keep the grease proof on it because that's protecting it nice. And wrap it in cling film and then cover it in foil, and then just put it in a cool cupboard, somewhere nice and cool, and it will just start maturing. And then in probably 2 weeks time, maybe we can do it together. But in the meantime, if you want to put alcohol in it every week, you can. If you don't want to put any alcohol in, that's fine. But in 2 weeks, I'll be doing it on here to show people how to do it. And nearer Christmas, we'll then be marzipaning it and icing it and decorating it. So as the time gets nearer, I can tell you things that you need, like cake board. We'll probably use roll-out icing, although I do prefer royal icing. I think it may be, it's up to you, Kerry, being you're my prize person, if you want to have a go at royal icing, or if it will be easier to use the white roll-out icing and just lay that over it.
Yeah.
We can have a go at royal icing, I think, Kim.
Yeah, so not done that.
Well, I think we did when we were children, because I think my nan used to do, she used to do Christmas
Yeah,
cake.
not, I
with
don't want to
icing.
put alcohol in mine.
Okay, Will. No, I know you don't, sweetheart. It's personal taste. It's traditional, but you don't need it.
We put
All
brandy
right.
in this one, didn't we?
Still tastes the
Brandy,
same anyway.
Sorry, Kerry. What was that?
Brandy, I put brandy in
Yeah, we
it.
put brandy in it, didn't we?
Good. That's good.
Kim, it will
Yes,
still
Will?
taste the same. Still taste the same, whatever.
It will taste almost the same. Yeah. It just won't have a alcoholic taste to it, but it will still taste of a lovely, lovely fruitcake. And William, the reason we're doing it now is because you basically have to do it now for it to mature. Because if you were to cook this and eat it straight away, it wouldn't taste as nice as us leaving it for a couple of months. Okay, so this is what
Yeah.
our nans used to do. You know, really, it was our nans and older relatives.
Only
used
you.
to do.
Only you.
We bake it all, but do it all by hand, and it would be a big bake of all the Christmas food. So that's it. So have you got yours in the oven?
We're going to go put it in now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, that is basically, I can't think of anything I can.
No, not.
Do you need to cover the tops, Kim? You need to cover the top.
Not at this point. In 2 hours, if you feel that it needs covering, you can put some foil on it just to stop it getting any browner. Okay. Or if it looks like fruit was catching a bit. Sometimes if you've got fruit on the top that hasn't got covered properly, some of the little bits of currant might start catching. So if you put foil on it, it stops that happening anymore. But
Okay. On a middle shelf, Kim.
Middle of the oven.
Middle of the oven, yeah, on gas mark 1.
Yeah, yeah. What you might have to do is, as you've got 2 in one oven, have you got one underneath the other, or have you got them?
I've managed to go on the same shelf.
Brilliant. You've got a lovely big oven.
Yeah.
I'm using a top oven because I broke the glass of my big oven ages ago, and because it's such an old oven, I can't get a new bit of glass for it, so I've basically got to buy a new oven. But in the meantime, I'm using just the top oven, so that's why I have got to cook dinner first and then put it in tonight, and we'll be smelling it all evening, and it's going to start smelling beautiful, Kerry.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you can take a photo of it at any point. That's great. Put it on Arts and Crafts Friday.
Okay.
And done. Leave it to get cold overnight in the tin because that keeps its shape nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then put a little bit more brandy in, and then just wrap it up nice. Put it in a cool cupboard.
Okay, well, Dad's in charge of that, isn't he? I'm at work in a bit, so Dad's going to keep an eye on it, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh,
So if it bends, it's Dad's fault.
I don't know now. Is Steve about? Because but there's no one here to do any script.
Well, thank you for your time, Kim. We've enjoyed it, haven't we, Kerry?
Yes.
There weren't more, but hopefully people will have a go from there's Steve. We're done.
There we go. Okay.
Thank you,
Well,
Kim.